Yeah. Well, they're probably feeding him once a day.
We're going to say,
I'll see ya. Do me a favor.
yeah.
Come here. Take a photo of this man just real quick. Real quick. Hurry up. Here they come. Turn around. Do it right now. Real quick. No, I'm me. Okay. All right, throw it over. Throw it.
Jack, you know the DA, right?
Give me that. Throw it. Thank you, man.
So good afternoon and welcome to Suffolk County. We just had our first court conference subsequent to the arraignment in New York State. We have a very extensive discovery statute, which we are endeavoring to comply with the work of both the court and defense counsel. This is a 13-year case, so as you saw, we have a great deal of information, evidence, photographs, reports to provide to the defense counsel. We've begun that process. I think it was 8 gigabytes of material, which is a tremendous amount. And that's just the beginning. We're going to continue to do that on a rolling basis. And this case, the charges in the indictment are just allegations. So this is the first step in the process of proving those allegations. So we look forward to undertaking that process. We've spoken to the victims. The victims are not going to be making any. They've elected not to make any statements at this to the media at this time. They want to maintain their privacy. They are obviously interested in the case, but they're not going to be speaking to the media. So that's about it. So, as you can imagine, it's a very personal, thing for the victims' families. So we're going to support the victims' families. They make the decision as to what they do, where they go, who they speak with. So I would never speak for the the victims' families, other than to say, we're going to support them in whatever it is that they want to do.
Are you aware if they were here today?
There were some victims. There were some victims who were family members of the victims who were here today.
Which victims?
I'm not going to discuss that.
What that order of protection you got the defense attorney to agree to?
So there's just certain conditions with regard to the disclosure of materials, and that's something that was worked out between the court, defense counsel, and ourselves, and that's standard procedure. It's under seal.
Voluminous, you said it will take a whole month to go through.
I'm sorry?
Voluminous, you say it will take a full month to go through.
You're talking about 13 years worth of investigation. So it is. I'm not going to speak for defense counsel, but suffice to say, it is a massive amount of material. And don't forget, it's continuing because the investigation is continuing. So we're talking about a massive amount of material.
Any of the task force that's been in place, and we understand that you want to keep it in place and also expand your cold case unit. Are you getting tips about other victims who may have been found on highways or roadways near where Heuermann may have lived or where he may have frequented? Are you getting new tips that are valuable to you?
We receive tips on, in all cases at all times. We take those serious and we work through them, but we maintain the confidentiality of the investigation up until the time we can bring charges.
Can you say what was discussed in chambers in the long conference before?
It was basically what I just elicited, what I just spoke to you all about, which was the discovery schedule, and the manner in which we were going to get this massive amount of discovery over to the defense. It has to be done in a way that makes sense for the defense, but also makes sense for us as well, so they can understand what they get, and we're able to catalog and identify, what exactly it is we provided.
Last time you said that you had some case. Last time you said that it was some stories about the DNA for the 4 victims. It's already progress about that.
So the investigation is continuing, but once that investigation is concluded, we'll have more to say. But that investigation is ongoing.
Last week you said the scores of evidence gathered at the Massapequa Park home would take time to sift through. How much of what was handed over today is from last week's search?
It was placed on the record, specifically what we turned over, which is part of the court record. I don't think anything specifically from the recent searches has been turned over.
There are some reports that Human's soon-to-be ex-wife is upset at the way the house was effectively turned upside down. She might try to bring forward a case. What's your response to that?
She could pursue whatever remedies she feels are necessary.
If things are proceeding as they have been, do you anticipate a trial? You do not anticipate a plea deal?
I don't anticipate anything. I anticipate that we have to show up every day. We have to comply with our discovery requirements, and we'll negotiate the case in good faith with the court and defense counsel and see how it plays out, just like any other case.
What's it like for you as DA leading this case?
I've led many cases. Last one being in 2019. So this is what we do as prosecutors.
Is it imminent that you might go before the grand jury to seek additional charges in this case?
As we've said, we've worked through the grand jury process. That grand jury process is continuing. The good thing about the grand jury process is we can subpoena witnesses and evidence, but it's also secret. So we'll maintain the secrecy of that grand jury until the grand jury has acted.
When is your term up?
We're not going to discuss specific terms with regard to this or any other grand jury.
What happens next on September 27th, and what needs to happen between now and then?
So what needs to happen between now and then, we need to continue to comply with the discovery requirements. We're working with the court, we're working with defense counsel. That discovery is going to be going out on a rolling basis, and as was indicated in court, it's a tremendous amount of material. So we're going to continue to provide that. Obviously, the defense is going to need time to digest all of that which we're giving.
Do you anticipate a date for the end of discovery? This process is going to take a while.
It's going to take a while, and we just need to be productive, and that's something that we'll work out with regard to both the court and counsel.
When we spoke at the home, you said nothing jumped out initially from what you took from the home. Has that changed since then?
So when I say nothing jumps out, I mean, you wait until all the facts are in, and then you draw conclusions from those facts. So we still have to continue to wait for all of that, and not only the cataloging of the evidence, but all of the testing, including forensic testing, to get done, which unfortunately, unlike sometimes on TV, it just doesn't happen overnight.
How long does forensic testing?
It varies. It depends upon what you're talking about. Is it DNA? Is it some other analysis? Is it mitochondrial DNA? Is it nuclear DNA? So it's very, it's dependent upon the facts and circumstances of each individual piece of evidence. So we just have to wait for the process to play out.
At least months, is it safe to say?
It's certainly weeks.
Some of the DNA evidence all of it is over a decade old. How confident are you of the methods the lab is using, some of it untested, some of it more modern, in being clear?
Extremely confident. It's all been tested. It's all been deemed admissible in courts of law across the United States, so we're confident in our science.
And as far as the victims go, how many families were here to support, were they here supporting 3 of the victims? How many different families are we talking today?
So that's a tough question to answer, because I think there are people who are physically here. I can tell you that we have a great dialogue with all the victims' families, and they're all supporting in one way or the other. So I'm not going to get into specifics with specifically who's here and who's not here. But what I will say is the victims' families are interested and engaged.
Can you give us some idea of the timetable? Are you handing over discovery like once a month? Is that generally?
So what we've said is a rolling basis, and that what that essentially means is when you're talking about this massive amount of material. We're just basically starting and then culling the material, providing it, and then sort of repeating the process. But there's it's a massive amount of material.
Can you say anything about the fourth victim? Are you close to filing charges in that case?
The investigation with regard to all of the remaining bodies on Gilgo is continuing.
Is the wife cooperating with the whole process?
We don't speak about anyone who talks to us with regard to our investigations. We maintain the confidentiality of anyone who may or may not be talking to us.
The wife said that her home and her life is in turmoil, specifically after the investigators went to her home. Do you have any comment to her or to that?
Nope.
How many victims had family representatives here? Just the number.
So I'm not gonna speak for the victims. The victims are they'll speak for themselves.
What's their names? Just how many?
I'm not gonna.
More than one?
More than one, but I'm not going to talk specifically about the
Discovery
victims.
included surveillance video from the Waterman case, Megan Waterman. Can you just help explain what that is in reference to?
I mean, I believe some of that video pertains to the motel that Ms. Waterman was staying at shortly before her disappearance.
TA, could you tell us what will happen on the 27th?
Basically, what happened here, it's just a repeat. There'll be, obviously, the defense will have the opportunity to provide, to go through what we've provided. We're going to be continuing to provide on a rolling basis. So it'll be just the opportunity for us to continue the process with defense counsel, as well as being able to inform the court of our progress and the status of the case.
Did the families make any request of you, or you give any message to them that you can talk about?
The families have opted not to speak at this time, and I certainly respect that. And again, we don't dictate to our victims any particular message that they should or shouldn't be giving. So I think that's it. But thanks all for coming, and we'll see you back on the 27th. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, here we go. All right, let's get back to this guy now.
Guys, slide to your left.
Down, guys, down. All right, folks, so I can hopefully answer some of your questions. I don't know much. Sure. Daniel, you can stand here. Today we had our first conference on the case. We conferenced with the judge in the back. The district attorney provided us with apparently 8 terabytes of discovery, which we're obviously going to go through with fine detail over the coming months. I understand there's going to be more discovery forthcoming, and we have a new court date of September 27th. That's the next scheduled court date, and again, it's going to be a conference date, and we'll update the judge on where we're at. So if I can answer some questions, I'll do my best to do that. Well, he's incarcerated. He's a man who's never been arrested before. He's maintained his innocence from the inception of this case. So he's doing the best he can at this point in time. He's looking forward to having his day in court. He was looking over his shoulder at the gallery. Was he looking for his family?
I didn't see him looking over the shoulder. So
Do you know if he's had any contact with his family?
Sure, he's had contact with his wife, yes. And family members. I don't think she's visited yet, obviously, because she doesn't want to be ambushed by the press. So she hasn't visited him at the jail yet. No.
The press at her house.
Do you have any questions about the case? I'm happy to answer.
Does she have any remarks about the fact that he filed divorce or spouse?
He hasn't. I'm not representing him on that, so I can't really discuss anything about his divorce.
Last time you said he was emotional.
He was emotional.
About the charges. Has it settled in? Has there been any change in his emotion since?
Well, now that when I've been meeting with him at the jail, obviously we're talking about substance as opposed to the initial shock. So now it's really gearing up towards the defense of this case.
Does she support her husband? Does she believe he's innocent?
You're going to have to talk to her. I don't know. I haven't spoken to her.
Have you looked at attorney has spoken extensively about this case in the public. How do you view that? Do you you have concerns about it possibly affecting a possible jury down the road?
Yeah, I'm not trying this case in the press. This case is a case that we're going to try in a courtroom. The press has convicted my client without seeing a shred of evidence. So he doesn't stand a chance with the press. And we're not going to try the case in the press. I doubt that any one of you for a moment have even contemplated the possibility that they have the wrong guy. So what we're going to do is we're going to defend this case in a courtroom. In the courtroom we just were in, where we have 12 fair and impartial jurors, where we have a fair and impartial judge, where words like presumption of innocence and beyond a reasonable doubt, where words like that reign every day. That's where we're going to try this case. So we're not going to try it in the press. We're going to do our due diligence. We're going to defend this case in a court of law.
Mr. Brown, do you feel like police and authorities have the wrong guy?
All I can say is he's presumed innocent. There have been hundreds, if not thousands, of leads in this case, and we haven't even seen them yet. I know about these leads from you folks who have reported these leads for the last 10 years, 12 years. So the answer is they very well could have the wrong guy.
How do you explain the DNA link to Human's wife, the Google searches, and the cell phone locating data?
Have you seen the DNA yet?
I'm asking how you.
And I'm asking you, have you?
What prosecution says links your client to these?
I haven't seen anything yet. Have you seen anything?
Well, I'm asking how you, as his lawyer, explain what the DA describes as voluminous amounts of evidence.
The government is looking to convict my client. I haven't seen anything. So I can't sit here and defend DNA and recovery of evidence and things that they claim they have until I see it. I haven't seen anything. So I'm not going to, at this point in time, I can't tell you what defects, if any, are in any of their evidence because I haven't seen it yet.
What has your client told you?
What has my client told me? He told me he didn't do this.
Mr. Brown,
to the team?
Yeah, well, we're obviously, the district attorney's office has a whole office. They're the biggest law firm in this county. I'm one guy, right? So Ms. Koish is going to be co-counsel on this. We have other attorneys that I expect, excuse me, are going to be assisting on this. And just to pour through the discovery is an enormous task, but we're prepared for it. And we're going to do it. And whether it's a year and a half or 2 years, whenever that day comes, we're going to go in a court of law, and we're looking forward to defending this case.
You feel like a month is enough
Jury
time?
chambers for quite a bit talking about the discovery process, and you heard obviously everything that's in your hands now. But just can you give a sense of the amount of evidence that you have in your hands now?
So what I was provided with today is what, and I'm not computer literate, is 8 terabytes of information. So I was told that a gigabyte is 6,000 pages, and I was told that there's 1,000 gigabytes in a terabyte. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, it's enormous.
Do you plan on going through some of the evidence before the next court date?
Of course. I plan on going through it as soon as I get back to my office when I'm done talking to you folks.
Do you feel like a month is enough time?
Trial here in Suffolk County, or are you considering moving it?
Well, that's obviously something we're going to look into in terms of change of venue. Unfortunately, or fortunately, you have the press reporting things to the public. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's skewed. So now you have the people in Suffolk County who are going to be sitting on the jury. We only hope that they will be fair and impartial, that they won't be influenced by the members of the press, and that they can listen to the evidence and decide for themselves if they have the right guy.
Brown, you're back there for 32 minutes. It probably takes like a minute to hand over those discs. So what else were you guys covering?
The discs weren't handed over until we were in the courtroom. But what we were doing is discussing receiving of evidence, how it's going to be transported to our office, and how it's going to be forthcoming in the future. Again, this is a significant case, so it's not like it takes a minute or two. There's a lot involved in receiving discovery.
Do you anticipate taking up their offer of having somebody from the DA's office help you go through that?
I'll take up anybody's offer to help assist on this case.
Expect another indictment against your client?
You'd have to ask the district attorney. I don't know the answer to that.
It's been reported he's been on suicide watch. Is there concern?
There is none. So what happens with suicide watch is the jail customarily, as a matter of course, when they have an inmate coming in, put somebody on suicide watch. So they have a mental evaluation, and there's been no indicia that he has in any way indicated a suicidal tendency. That's just pro forma.
And
Rex wants to go to trial. He's not interested in a plea deal of any kind.
There's no plea deal. He said from the moment I met him that I did not do this. So we're prepared to go forward. We will defend this case in a court of law, and we will go to trial in this case. Let's just say numerous.
So he is feeling hopeful.
He's feeling hopeful about what, ma'am?
Hopeful that he's going to be proven innocent.
He doesn't have to be proven innocent. The burden on this case is on the district attorney, on the government. They have to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt.
How do you explain the charges that he was Googling child sexual material?
I don't know what kind of evidence they have. Again, that's the district attorney who has the obligation, and they're the ones who are going to provide us with the discovery. So I don't know what type of evidence they have.
Are you going to present any evidence?
I haven't even seen their evidence, so I can't even tell you what, if anything, we will do. It's too premature.
How many people do you have he was Googling explicit material related to children? What does your client say about that?
Have you seen that yet? Do you believe everything the government says? I don't. So I understand that the government has told you certain things. I don't believe everything the government says. So I'm going to wait until I get the evidence. I'm going to look at the evidence. We're going to examine the evidence, and we're going to move forward from there. Any other questions? I got to go into two more questions, guys. Ms. Koish is on this matter. Mr. Russo is on this matter, and we have 3 or 4 other attorneys that are now going to start the process of reviewing discovery.
So you believe the government is plotting against your client?
I didn't say that.
Fabricated these searches?
I didn't say that.
Then
I can tell you from.
believe the government?
I can tell you. Well, I've been doing this for 30 years. The government makes allegations all the time. Sometimes the allegations are true. Sometimes they're not true. Sometimes when they accuse somebody of committing a crime, that person is guilty. Sometimes when they accuse somebody of committing a crime, that person is innocent. So I don't know what is to bear. All I can tell you is he needs to get the presumption of innocence.
Right, but you've seen
Anybody else?
Are you comfortable with that these searches were made on burner phones that were linked to New York?
I'm sorry?
You have seen that evidence.
I haven't seen, I'll repeat it again. I have not seen 1 ounce of evidence on this case. Today in court was the first time I was handed anything, and it's in the form of terabytes. I can't read a terabyte with my hands or my eyes, so we have to download that and start the process.
But are you comfortable with?
What I'll say is this, down the road, if certain things come to fruition and come to light that I think would warrant a change in his custody status, we will certainly make that application to the judge.
But right now.
Well, at this point, it would be silly for me because we don't have any, I haven't seen anything.
Are you comfortable with the list of evidence provided to you as described today, and why or why not?
I haven't even looked at it.
But as it was described and listed today.
So what was described and listed is I got 5 manila envelopes, and they have a terabyte in them, or 2 terabytes each. I don't, that's all I have.
Do you know, are there thumb drives inside, or are you getting hard copies?
They're big black terabytes. Do you know what I don't know. I think they're hard drives, right? Is that what you call them? Hard drives? So that's what I got. I got 5 hard drives that was handed to me 30 minutes ago. Okay?
And you have them in your briefcase now?
I have them right here.
How involved is Heuermann with his defense so far?
He is an involved, obviously interested party who's going to be a big part of assisting us in the defense of this case. All right, guys, thanks very much.
Can I get your last name spelled?
C-O-Y.
C-O-Y-S-H. S-H. And your first name?
Danielle.
Okay, right.
Last name is Koish.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown?